How much, Kamala, did you spend traveling around the world? Doing what? People will debate. What's Kamala Harris doing? You may wonder. I don't know what she's doing. I think I saw her. She was at a sports event. Did I see a video of her at a sports event? I guess the last video of her was she was out shopping. So she's retired. I don't blame her for trying to take it easy after her coup. But we're still interested in what she was doing when she was working at the Biden White House as vice president. And that's why we sued the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and the Defense Department for details about her travels. How much, Kamala, did you spend traveling around the world? Doing what? People will debate. We filed the FOIA lawsuit after the Secret Service and the Air Force failed to respond to August 2024 requests for all records concerning the use of government funds to provide security and/or services to Vice President Kamala Harris and any companions while traveling. The Biden White House website reports that during her term as vice president, Kamala Harris made 17 foreign trips, traveling to 21 countries and meeting with over 150 world leaders. But there are no publicly available flight logs or other records that provide details about who accompanied her on these trips. Like, remember when Joe Biden went to China and Judicial Watch figured out the details about Hunter going along and meeting with his Chinese business partners and Chinese leaders while with Joe hanging around in a way to advance their business interests? Just before Vice President Harris' last official trip in early 2025, AP reported that her husband, Doug Emhoff, was expected to accompany her to Singapore, Bahrain, and Germany. However, this is the only non-governmental person specifically mentioned as accompanying her on any official trip. So not only have the flight logs been hidden, but we don't know what the costs are, and those costs can be easily described to us and reported. So it's what's going on here. Well, let me take a step back. During the Obama administration, this is how we got into this. I'll tell you the story. President Obama came into the Oval Office, and one of the first things he did was he made a big hullabaloo of taking his wife on a date night to New York City. And I'm like, well, that's cute, but how much did it cost to bring him up to New York City? Oh, well, we know how to ask that question. And so that's what generated our interest in the cost of presidential travel. Obama's date night up to New York City. And by the way, he didn't take Air Force One, we found out. It was a smaller airplane. And it cost $29,000, so just so you know. I think I'm going by memory. It's now, I don't want to know how long ago 2008 was. And so we followed up with a series of FOIA requests tracking his travel, is basically his unnecessary travel. We didn't track official travel. And it just drove the Obama people crazy because the numbers didn't lie. We put them out. It was straightforward analysis, and they got attention every time we put them out. And of course, the big media wasn't interested in it. And so when Trump came in, we had been doing our basic travel FOIAs and such. But the media all of a sudden became interested in presidential travel. And so we had a few numbers out on Trump, and I appeared on the three major networks talking about Trump travel in the beginning of his administration. Encouraging transparency, and he should take steps to basically cut the costs of presidential travel, because it still costs too much. He'd be the first to tell you that. In fact, he did try to do that. And then, of course, the media got into the business of trying to track presidential travel, started not only FOIAing the Secret Service, but the Coast Guard and providing security, all sorts of insane level of detail just to make it controversial for Trump to engage in travel. Now, of course, he went down to Mar-a-Lago a lot or up to New Jersey during the summer months. But as you know, he was working all the time, so we didn't think it was as big as a deal, and we didn't do as much because all the media was doing it. And of course, Biden comes along, and what happens is the Secret Service and specifically the Air Force, they simply stop answering the requests. So, you know, there was like a series of 10 or 12 requests they completely ignored. We had to sue over them, and they promised they would respond in the future to us after we got the court involved. Well, here we are again. We still can't get a straight response. This is straightforward information. Oh, Vice President Kamala Harris took plane X. It costs, literally, they have hourly rates, the hourly costs of aircraft, and it changes over time. And you can figure out what the cost of the travel is. Secret Service, we know what the numbers are for Secret Service costs because they track the personal expenses of the agents. So, you know, the hotel bills, we get the hotel bills. So this is not secret material we're asking for. We've gotten this material in the past, and they don't want to turn it over, and they haven't wanted to turn it over for Kamala Harris. Why do I think they were covering up the cost of her travel? Because to benefit the political campaign of Joe Biden and then Kamala Harris. Of course, Harris was on the ticket no matter what. Hence, we're in court. In 2021, Judicial Watch uncovered White House travel records from the Secret Service in response to our FOIA request for all records concerning the use of government funds to provide security and/or other services to Biden and any companions. The records detail Secret Service travel costs of $2.2 million for Joe Biden through only August 8th of 2021, just the first 8 months. And then, of course, we received records showing not President Biden, Hunter Biden. He became president later when Joe completely came out of it. I'm just joking. I know he literally wasn't president. Hunter Biden traveled extensively while receiving a Secret Service detail. And in that lawsuit, we uncovered that Biden took 411 separate domestic and international flights, including 29 different foreign countries. He visited China 5 times, and he dropped his Secret Service protection shortly before the end of the Obama term. And of course, during the last year and a half of the Obama administration, when he wasn't getting Secret Service protection anymore, guess where he was working? Burisma, Ukraine. We've gotten records about Trump's travels, $3 million and $17 million for travel related to President Trump. So we've been tracking the travel no matter who the president is. And I kind of see it as a, we talk about the Department of Government Efficiency. The travel, the security around the president is required, right? And the military, he's the commander-in-chief, so the military has a lot to do with the travel. You know, they're responsible for it. So the question is, how cheaply can they do it in a way that provides him the national security, the typical security? He probably needs Air Force One to travel, for instance, to Florida. Does he need it to travel to New York? Maybe not. He may want it, but he may not need it. And we're just trying to get people to be more sensitive to the costs. And, you know, we're not just looking at presidential travel, we've looked at congressional travel. Ask your members of Congress. This is a fun little project. Call your local member of Congress, 202-225-3121. Ask for your member of Congress and say, I'd like to know how many CODELs you have gone on. And what is a CODEL? That's short for congressional delegations, which are typically, CODELs are trips, congressional delegation trips to foreign countries. And I'll let you decide whether that's of value to the American taxpayer. But ask how many they go on. And we had investigated Nancy Pelosi's use of Air Force jets to travel back and forth to her home district. Remember that controversy? The cost of liquor on it, and just how unpleasant people were in Pelosi's office about dealing with the Air Force. They were gritting their teeth in dealing with Pelosi's office. They were so unpleasant. Like, for instance, they were in a crisis, as I recall from the documents. Like, don't quote me on this. I know I'm saying it on the internet, but you can go look it up. So they needed a last-minute plane for some sort of jaunt. And Pelosi's people were calling saying, we need this plane. And they said, well, we don't have that plane. We have this other plane. Oh, no, no. They said they can fly commercial instead. You know, obviously they can turn in the ticket or get the government to pay for it outright. And you know what Pelosi's people said? Well, yeah, we know that's true, but you know how it gets with the spouses. They wanted the Air Force One type plane for Congress so the spouses could go on the trip for free. So I don't know, we should start, I mean, we have tracked, the Codels have been less in recent years, but they still run them. But that's an area where Congress can save money as well. So this is I think an interesting part of Judicial Watch's work. Is it the most important thing that happens? Well, maybe. I mean, look what it covered with Hunter Biden. I mean, we're just doing a straightforward FOIA request about what's going on with Hunter, and we found out he went to China 5 times and then he ditched Secret Service protection. No one knew that prior to our FOIA. So it's going to be interesting to find out what we can find out about Kamala Harris. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.